Good evening. I'm Chris, and welcome to the 7 o'clock p.m. beginners class here at the Hatha Yoga Center in Seattle, Washington. I think tonight we'll start in a seated position, so if it's more comfortable for you, sorry about that, if it's more comfortable for you to sit up on something, I'm going to sit up on a block. You might sit on a cushion, or you could sit in a chair if that's better for your knees or for your spine. The main thing is to be able to find your long, tall spine and to be able to breathe freely. So find your sit bones. You might, in whatever position you're sitting, you might kind of rock back and forth a little bit, feeling those bones of your pelvis that we refer to as the sit bones poking down into the surface that you're sitting on, and just kind of bringing yourself into center, maybe moving back and forth a little bit and just finding the place where you're kind of balanced so the weight of your upper body is evenly distributed over both sit bones. And then just kind of lengthening up the spine up through the crown of the head. Letting your shoulders slide down your back and opening your chest and just beginning to find your breath. And we'll just take a few breaths here before we start moving. So just tuning into the breath just as it is, noticing the quality of your breath. You could close your eyes and just feel the breath coming in and out through your nose. Generally, we breathe in and out through the nose in yoga. So just feeling the breath to begin with. And you might feel your rib cage expand and contract. You might be able to feel that in the back of your body and in the sides. You could even bring your hands up onto the rib cage and kind of bring your fingers around your rib cage and just feel what that feels like as you inhale and exhale, the movement of your rib cage as the lungs inflate with air and deflate. And then just maybe bringing the hands, palms down onto your thighs. And taking a couple more balanced breaths. And if you'd like, you could bring your hands together at your heart. You could bow your head and set an intention for your practice this evening if you'd like, or a dedication. It's optional, of course. Just taking a breath. And then you could open your eyes and you could sweep your arms up, lifting your gaze, just bringing your hands together and back down through center, and just do that 2 more times, just reaching out, gathering up the air and bringing it down. So really extend your arms out and reach up and back down. And then bring your left hand down by your side and sweep your right arm up and over. You could look up underneath the arm, maybe turning the palm towards the back of the room, releasing the left shoulder so you're not shrugging up, just keeping the neck long and finding your breath here. Again, your right shoulder can move, it can slide down the rib cage, and then circle that arm around and come to the other side, bringing the left arm up, bringing your right hand to the floor, turning the palm towards the back of the room behind you, keeping your neck long. So trying not to let the head drop, keeping it lifted. Nice steady breath. And then just sweep the arm back around and just a couple times go through it like that, just circling the arms down and around. Just bringing a little more movement in. You're rotating your neck and head and chest up. 1 more time through to each side. And then coming back to center, and just bring your hands onto your knees And then round your spine. You can let your head drop like a cat-cow. So rounding, drawing the navel in, and then let your chest come forward, arching your back. You can let your head come back, and then just moving through that a few times. Kind of like a seated cat-cow. One more time through. Moving your belly. Inhaling as you come forward. And then pause for a moment. And then circle your hips. And you can let your chest come forward and then round as you go back. Just moving slowly. And you can do these things if you're sitting in a chair or on the floor. If you're sitting on the floor, you might want to switch the cross of your legs at some point. Switch directions of the circles. So letting your spine move with this. So kind of arching as you come forward, inhaling, maybe exhale and rounding as you come back, just stirring it around. And then coming back to center again and pause for a moment. And then just a few neck movements. Just turning your head towards the left, looking over your left shoulder, keeping your chin level with the floor so the neck is staying in a neutral position, turning back to center and looking over the right shoulder. And you kind of feel the place where it starts to get tight. Just pause, breathe. And one more time through each side. Noticing any kind of cranky spots and just backing off a little and then turning to the right. And then back to center. And then tip your head back and lift your chin. Stretching all of this tissue under the chin. You could even take your fingers and kind of push it up. And then tip your chin towards your chest. And then one more time through, tipping the chin up, the head moves back, your shoulders are staying right where they are. Lifting your jaw, and then tip the chin towards the chest, just moving the neck. And one more, reach your right arm out to the side and tip your left ear towards your left shoulder. So try not to lift the left shoulder, let it stay relaxed. And then just gently feeling into the movement of your head, kind of tipping the chin up and down. Again, not into any real pain or any kind of nervy feelings, just feeling the movement. Then extending your left arm and tipping your right ear towards your right shoulder. And then moving the chin up and down. Just feeling this movement, still breathing. And then bringing the head back to center. And if you're sitting up on something, just set it off to the side. And let's come to hands and knees. So bringing your hands right underneath your shoulders, knees right underneath the hips. Press into the floor and lift the back of your head up. So you're in tabletop, your shoulder blades are right, kind of pressing into the back of your rib cage. And then tucking your pelvis, let the movement ripple up your spine, letting your head drop. Exhaling, inhale. Start the movement with the pelvis, let it ripple up your spine. So feeling all the little segments of your spine moving individually and also together. Moving with the breath. And one more time through that way. Coming back to your tabletop, try extending your left leg out to the side. The toes are pointing straight forward. And try doing cat-cow with your leg out to the side. So it'll feel a little different. Same thing though, linking your movement and your breath. You might feel like your pelvis is a little bit more free. And then coming back to center, step that leg in and extend your right leg out to the side. And try that cat-cow with the right leg out to the side. Moving with the breath, so inhaling and arching the back, exhale and rounding the spine. Letting your head and neck be part of it, so you're initiating the movement with the pelvis. One more time through, and then stepping that knee in. Walking your hands forward, coming into prayer pose. Bringing your head down to the floor, or you can always put a block under your head or a book or something if it strains your neck at all. So feeling the length in your spine. You might lift your forearms off the floor and wrap the elbows in. Breathing. And then walk your hands over towards the left and keep reaching back with the right hip. So you'll feel that stretch all the way up the waistline on the right side and the rib cage into the armpit. Feeling the rib cage moving away from the pelvis. And then, of course, contracting a little on the opposite side. Walking your hands back through center and over towards the right. So keeping the left hip drawing back, and again, feeling length in the left side of your body, waistline and rib cage. Nice steady breath, and then walking hands back to center. And taking a breath, kind of broadening in your upper back. You could bring your elbows to the floor and lift your hands and kind of walk the elbows forward, maybe pressing your fingertips together and kind of stretch into the back of the arms. Maybe pushing your palms apart. Or you could make prayer hands. And then releasing that. And then I'm going to move over here towards the mat. And hi, Jade. And let's come to stand. And we'll come to the front of the mat if you're using one. And find your standing mountain pose. So starting with your feet, spreading your toes, lifting the arches, and just kind of like you did when you were sitting and you felt the weight of your body over your sit bones. Close your eyes and feel how you're distributing the weight of your body over your feet. Noticing if you favor one side and seeing if you can kind of even that out. Noticing if the feet want to roll in or out, just feeling the whole sole of your foot on the floor. Maybe the arch is lifting a bit. Let your arms hang and find your breath. So feel the breath. And then from here, you could let your arms come up, reaching up. And you can move a little bit. You could kind of sway a little bit side to side. Just let it be easy. Maybe bending one knee and the other. And then slowly coming back to center. Reaching up again, and then hinging forward at the hip, coming into a forward bend with your knees bent, long spine. And your feet are hip width, so just you could look down at your feet, noticing your feet. Trying to spread the toes a bit. Taking a couple breaths here into the length of your spine. And then from here, we'll step the left foot back and bring the left knee down, bringing yourself into a low lunge with your knee down, squaring your hips, and really bringing the weight back and up over that left knee, letting your arms float up, Maybe lifting the gaze and finding your steady breath, your steady gaze. And then let's take a couple of just twists with movement. So we'll reach forward with the left arm, keeping your hips right where they are, right arm back, and then sweeping the right arm back up, and then bring the left arm back. So you're opening in the opposite direction. Just move through that one more time, coming back to center, bringing the right hand back, palms are open, sweeping the right arm up and the left arm back. Let it be easy. And then back to center. And then bringing the hands down. Let's come to hands and knees. So let's try here, finding your tabletop again. Lift your knee up, lifting the sole of your foot up. And then bringing your knee out to the side. So you're making a circle with the hip. And then the knee comes down and back up and out to the side. So you're moving through the range of motion that you have with the hip. So keeping your belly is pointing straight down as you do this. You're not lifting your hip. Circling through one more time. Go slow. It's not easy. And then release that side and lift your right knee. So lift the knee up and the foot up, and then turn the hip open, knee out to the side and around in a circle. And a couple more times like that. Just trying to move the hip, keeping the rest of your body still. So feeling what your range of motion is with the rotation of the hip. Trying not to lift the left side of your sacrum, and then just pause for a moment. You could walk your hands forward again and come into prayer. And then let's come up into downward facing dog. So plant your hands shoulder width, spread your fingers. And wrap your elbows in, tuck your toes and lift your hips. You can stay with your knees bent. So really wrapping the elbows in and pressing back, lifting the tail. You can keep your neck kind of framed by your arms. So your head's not too lifted or dropping too much, just kind of neutral. You might be able to press through one heel and the other. And then let's bring the knees back down and pause for a moment. Maybe wagging your tail a little bit. And then let's come into plank pose. So you could do that with your legs lifted or with your knees down. So if you're doing it with your knees down, just bring them back. So you're not in a hands and knees position, your knees are further back. Lifting the back of your head. Take a couple breaths there, and then coming all the way down to the floor with your elbows by your sides. You could sweep the arms back, clasp your hands at your sacrum, and roll up, lift your toes. And you could roll onto your side if you like, onto your left side. Keep the head back, breathing. And then roll onto your belly and onto the other side. Feeling the shoulder blades moving down the rib cage. You kind of feel the lower left shoulder blade digging into your rib cage on this side. And then back onto your belly and release. Just rock the hips a little side to side. And then come back up. Come to hands and knees this time, and let's just try lifting your right hand and your left knee just a little bit off the floor. So you're not really moving your body, just the hand and the knee, and then the left knee the left hand and the right knee, so you're going side to side. You're barely lifting. So you're keeping your core kind of activated as you do this. Diagonally, so opposite hand and knee lifting. Your body stays still. A couple more times. You're not lifting too high. And then pause. And then press into your hands. Bring the hips back. You may choose to stay in prayer, or you could lift the hips up into downward facing dog again. So wrapping the elbows in. Really spread your hands. And press into the palms. Feel the fingertips on the floor. And your feet are hip width. Just another breath here. Then we'll step the left foot forward and bring the right knee down. And coming up to your low lunge with the knee down. And this time let's let the arms float up. And we'll do the twisting. So we'll bring the right hand forward, palm open, keeping your lower body still. Arms come up. And then right hand goes back. So it's just a twist in the upper body. Arms come up. Left hand comes back, palm is open. Arms come back up. And then right hand back. And one more time, arms come up and pause. Find your breath. And then we'll step forward into our forward bend. Long spine. And you can bend your knees quite a bit. See if you can, even though you're keeping your neck long, see if you can take any kind of extra holding that you have in your neck and let it go. So you need a certain amount of engagement to keep the neck, the head lifted, but try to keep it kind of moving so you're not gripping in the neck and shoulders. And then coming all the way up again, lengthening up. And maybe make your feet wide like the width of the mat, and then you could maybe palms facing towards the front of the room. Lift your right foot, so lean towards the left. So you're kind of in a star shape, and then let your body weight come over to the right, lifting your left foot, keeping your body square to the front of the room, and go back and forth another time. And then stepping in and bringing your hands together at your heart. And pause for a moment, find your breath. And then I'm going to turn this way. Let's go ahead and raise the arms again. Lengthening up, lifting your gaze. And then let's come into chair pose. So you could wiggle your feet together so the balls of the feet are together, your heels slightly apart. Sweep your arms back. You could try clasping your hands at your sacrum. And then sit back, keeping your knees pressing together. So you're still lifting your shoulders and you're lifting your head, but you're sitting back. Take a couple breaths here. Strong legs. And then release your arms and come into your forward bend. You could wiggle your feet back out to hip width. So you can have a lot of bend in your knees. And then from here, let's come into a lunge with the back knee lifted. So we'll step the right foot to the back of the mat and keeping the heel lifted, keeping your pelvis in a neutral position, so square. Bring your hands to your hips just to feel that the hips are pretty square. and your pubic bone is lifting, grounding through the sacrum. Raise the arms. And take a couple breaths here into this lunge, warrior one, with the back heel lifted. And maybe you could bring your elbows down and kind of draw your shoulder blades together and then back up. Inhale, exhale together. Inhale up. One more time. You can always bring the knee down if you need to. Bring the arms up. And then bring your knee down. And let's walk the left foot forward a bit. And come into the lunge, this time with the front foot a little further forward, but still keeping the sacrum grounding, pubic bone lifting, sternum lifting, so you're feeling it a little deeper stretch in the front of your right hip. And taking a breath there. You could bring your hands to the knee if you want. Kind of pressing into the knee and lifting up. And then walk your left foot back a little bit and bring the knee forward. So you could have a block under your hand if you need to, or just have your right hand on the floor. So getting into the back of your calf and ankle on the left side. Keeping yourself in this lifted position so you're not rounding. You can always use something under your hand to assist with that. And you can kind of move your foot around just a little side to side. And then bringing your weight back and stepping that knee back, coming to hands and knees. And either coming into prayer again with your hips lifted, or tucking your toes and coming up to downward facing dog. And then in your downward facing dog, you might lift your right foot up and step it over behind the left foot, lifting your right hip. Keep reaching through your left hand and wrapping your elbows in. Shoulders slide down the rib cage. So you're separating your pelvis from your rib cage on the right side, feeling the stretch. Stepping back through center, left foot comes up and over behind the right foot. Again, reaching through your hands, wrapping the elbows in, feeling your pelvis and rib cage separating on the left side. Lifting the left hip and stepping back to center. And then just come to hands and knees again. Let's do a couple of cat-cows. Round your spine, exhale, tip your pelvis, inhale. And then try bringing your forearms down. You can have the hands clasped if that's too intense on your shoulders, or just spreading your hands and placing your forearms on the floor, and then try some cat-cow like that. So round the spine, tip the pelvis. So cat-cow on your forearms. Feel the belly drawing in as you round. Moving with the breath. And then just come into prayer for a moment, or actually come into child's pose if you can, if you're ready for that. You can bring your knees a little wider if you need to. Breathing into that deep fold of your knees in the front of the hips. You could even sweep your arms back and just rest for a moment. Breathe into your back. Kind of inflating your back with air, with your breath. And then coming up, let's wriggle forward and come into Sphinx pose. So forearms down again, this time elbows just a little bit in front of the shoulders, and you can feel the tops of your feet on the floor. You feel your belly lifting, kind of like you're dragging your heart through your arms. So there's a sense that you're kind of pulling back on the forearms, and you're breathing. And then you might wriggle your elbows forward and gently bring your chin into your hands. So you're kind of lengthening that, again, that tissue underneath your chin and your front of your neck. As long as that feels okay on your neck, you're just bringing yourself into extension. One more breath there. And release your arms. And then bringing the hands underneath the shoulders. Bend your knees, tuck your toes, and come back up to downward facing dog. So really spread the hands, press into your palms, wrap your elbows in, lift your hips, lift your tail. And you can have your heels lifted and your knees bent. And from here, we're going to step the right foot to the front of the mat. Bending the back knee and coming up into Warrior One. So keeping your pelvis square. Coming a little deeper into the bend of the front knee without compromising your pelvis. This time you might sweep your arms back and try clasping your hands at your sacrum and lifting the heart. You could stretch your arms back. And then release your hands. One more time, sweep the arms up. And then we're going to step forward into the forward bend. And wriggle the balls of your feet together, heels slightly apart. Let's come up through our chair pose. This time, sweeping the arms up, sitting back, reaching your hips back. You can always have your hands together at your heart. And then coming all the way up, and reach up. Hands together at your heart. Bring your feet hip width again. Just let your arms hang. And do a little arm swing. See if you can let your arms be completely relaxed. And then just coming back to center. Let's do a few one-legged balances. So to start, let's actually come up onto the balls of the feet. So your feet could be hip width. And just lift up. So it takes quite a bit of leg strength. And then bring your heels back down, go slowly. And go up and down a few times. And then maybe the next time just come up like halfway. And then come all the way. And down. One more time like that. Halfway, so lift the heels just a bit. And then all the way up onto the balls of the feet. And back down. And then you might lift your heel off the floor and stretch like you're pointing your toe, stretching the top of your foot. Just being careful with how much weight you're putting there. And then switch with your left foot. And then release that. And let's try just finding your standing mountain pose and lift your left foot. So your body doesn't change. You stay right where you are. You just lift the foot. The knees are together. So find your breath, keeping the hips level. And then bring your knee up. And hold it up. So feeling like you're moving from your core here. And then bring it back down. And one more time, bring it up. Still breathing, finding your gaze. And release that side. Just circling your toes, ankles, knees, and hips in one direction and the other, letting it all go. And we'll do the other side. So standing on your right foot, keeping the knees together, lift your left foot. And then lift that knee up and pause. And bringing it back down, knees together. So you're just moving the leg, your body's staying really still, lifting the knee up. And pause. And then releasing that foot back down and just circling your toes and your ankles, knees, hips circling in one direction and the other, letting it go. And this time we'll add a twist. So we'll lift the right knee up. You could bring the foot into the inside of the knee and then turning into the twist. You could also bring your foot up like this, like we had it. So your twist is happening in your upper body. Your lower body is staying right where it is. The palms are open. You might turn your head as well. Keeping those shoulder blades moving down. And then turning back towards the front and bring your foot down, circling. So you notice that I couldn't hold that, but I just came right back in when I fell out. So it's okay to fall out of your balance, just come right back into the pose. And then standing on your right leg, lifting left knee up. You could keep the foot on the inside of the right knee, or you could bring it forward and then twisting towards the bent knee. Wobbling is okay. Turning the head as well. Breathing. So a little engagement here in the outer hip and glutes will help you to stay steady. And then turning back to face yourself or to the front of the mat and circle your knees again in one direction and the other. And I'm pretty sure you probably have a place in your house where you can, like a countertop that you could use for this. So we have a bar here. I'm gonna turn, so maybe you could find, I'm just gonna turn the camera a little bit. Maybe you could find like a countertop or the back of a couch or something like that. And we're gonna do pigeon. So just bringing yourself towards that countertop or whatever you've designated. We'll stand on the left foot and let's bring our right lower leg up onto that surface. So this is pigeon, but we're standing. You can do this on a chair or, so finding the right height. And then keeping the hips level. So you might even hook your thumb into the right hip and kind of feel, is that hip hiking up? We're not trying to bring any stress to our knee. So you can move yourself lower if you feel like your knee's twisting or you feel any pain in the knee. And then just finding the breath and finding your spine and breathing. So pigeon in a standing position. And we do this one on the floor as well. Just taking a couple of breaths there. And then we'll just release that side and let it go. And we'll stand on the right foot, lifting the left foot up. And I'm on the ball of my foot here because the bar is just a little bit high at first for me. So finding the right height. And as I stay here and I tuck my thumb into my left hip and I can feel that I'm not hiking up my left hip, then I can slowly release my heel towards the floor. This works works on a folding chair or a couch, or couch might be a little low. You can do it on a countertop or the back of a sofa. So taking a couple of breaths there. Notice that I'm not rounding forward, so I'm lifting through my sternum. And then release that and just let it go. I'm gonna leave this over here. I'm gonna come back out. I'm gonna come onto my back, and I'm gonna have a strap handy. So you might have a strap or a belt at home that you could use for this. I'm actually gonna turn the camera back. All right. How's that? So you're coming onto your back with a strap handy, and first just draw your knees in towards your chest and just rock a little bit from side to side. You can bring your arms out to the sides, and let's do a little bit of core work to begin with. So bring the knees so they're pointing straight up towards the ceiling. Your lower back is not arching too much. So press your tailbone into the floor. Let your knees go side to side, slowly. Keeping your upper back relaxed. So the work is happening in the center of your body. You might, as you bring your knees over towards the left, you might extend the top leg. And towards the right, extend your left leg. So going side to side like that a couple more times. And then the next time your knees come over towards the left, just pause and let them kind of hover, maybe extending the top leg. So you're really wrapping back the right side of your lower torso and the hip. And then coming back to center and going to the other side. Top leg is possibly extended. Left lower belly and hip are wrapping back. Shoulders are staying flat on the floor. And then back to center and hug your knees in. I'm just rolling a little bit side to side. And then bring your left foot towards the floor with your left knee bent, and just holding behind your right knee. Kind of, how to describe, like kind of, I don't know how to describe it. You're going to kind of crunch your toes and circle your foot with your toes bent, if that makes sense. So you're kind of engaging your toes, like you're folding them, and circling, which feels kind of interesting. So your arch is more pronounced. And then extend your toes and kind of move them as you circle your ankle joint, and then switch directions. And release that foot down, and then lift your opposite foot up. And then do that thing where you like crunch your toes. You're kind of pointing your foot basically, and then circle with your toes like that. And circle in the opposite direction too. It's kind of awkward. And then maybe extend your toes, let them be free and circle in one direction. Feeling the range of motion you have in that ankle joint to rotate like that. So circling in the opposite direction. And then just relax and draw the knees in again. And then we'll bring the left foot down towards the floor and the right leg up. You could bring your arms down by your sides, kind of tucking the shoulder blades under. And let's exhale, bring your heel towards the floor, just hovering. And pause for a moment there. Breathing. The toes are slightly turned out. And bring it back up. This time when we bring the heel towards the floor, exhale all the air out and lift your diaphragm. So exhale through your mouth. Lift your diaphragm, press out through the heel. And bring it back up. So when I do that, when I exhale out, you can take your hands and kind of feel how your diaphragm kind of sucks up underneath the rib cage. Do it one more time. Exhale through your mouth, all the air out, and lift the diaphragm. Hovering your heel above the floor. And then draw that right knee in towards the chest, and just for a moment kind of bring it in, folding deeply at the hip. Releasing that foot towards the floor, arms down by your sides, palms facing open. And let's lift your left leg, your toes slightly turned out, and just bring it down. Exhale the heel down, hover, relaxing your shoulders so you're really feeling the strength in your core. Breathing comfortably there with the heel lifted off the floor, extending, and then bringing it back up again. This time we'll do a couple with the diaphragm lift. So you're going to exhale all the air up through the mouth and lift your diaphragm, your respiratory diaphragm, underneath the ribs. Ready? So you're hollowing out your belly, heel is hovering, and then bring it back up one more time. Exhale. And then draw that knee in. I'm just moving it around a little bit, feeling into the hip joint. And then bringing both feet down. Bring your feet a little wider this time. Arms out to the sides. And very slowly, let your knees go side to side. You might lift your right knee as far as you can, and then let the left knee come up. And they go to the other side. So trying that on this side, lifting your left knee until you can't keep your right knee on the floor anymore. So going slowly. And the next time the knees come to the right, just let them stay there for a moment. And then up and over towards the left and pause. And then back up. And then lifting your feet up and bring the soles of your feet side by side together, keeping sacrum down on the floor. So the feet are pointing straight up towards the ceiling. Your belly is your tailbone is pressing towards the floor. And then let your feet go side to side, but don't lift your lower back off the floor. Don't lift the sacrum. So keep it pinned to the floor and move slowly. So feeling those muscles in your belly controlling the movement. One of your feet will kind of slide down the inner ankle on the other side, side to side. Keep going. Maybe just another time to each side. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit of effort in your belly there. The upper back stays relaxed. Again, draw the knees in towards the chest. Rock a little bit side to side. And then we'll try it with the legs up, arms out to the sides, flexing your feet. Let's go one leg at a time slowly. So bringing your right heel towards the floor, you could inhale it down, exhale it back up, press your tailbone down as you do that. Inhale your left heel towards the floor, exhale it back up, pressing into your tailbone. So you're kind of walking in the air. Some teacher called this the yoga walk. So go slowly, trying not to use momentum, using your muscular strength and your core muscles to help control these movements. A couple more times to each side. And then draw your knees in towards your chest. And just rock it out a little. And then let's bring your left foot down and your right ankle on top. So flex the foot. And you could kind of push your knee away so that you might start with that, even bringing your hand into the upper thigh and pushing, making a little space in the hip joint. And then maybe lifting left foot up, reaching back behind your thigh on your left side and pressing your right elbow against your knee, your right knee perhaps. I think it feels good to rock a little bit from side to side here. So we're getting into the hip rotators again on the right side. We just did pigeon at the bar. Now we're doing this, some people call this figure, or thread the needle, or figure four stretch. And then bring your left foot back down to the floor, unwind the right leg, bring your left ankle on top of your right knee. You might start by kind of pressing the heel of your hand into the top of your left thigh, getting a little traction there. And then lifting your right foot up. And I like rocking side to side here, you might too. And then releasing that and drawing both of your knees in again. And then bring your feet back down to the floor. And let's come up into bridge pose. So roll your hips up. And then maybe you could tuck your shoulders underneath and clasp your hands, keeping a little space under your neck. And take a few breaths here. Nice steady breaths. And then release your arms and roll down slowly. And then let's roll up and down a few times. So lift the hips, bring the arms up over the head. And then slowly, feel your whole spine moving very slowly, each little segment. And then up, again, and down. And then draw your knees into your chest again. And then let's do a hamstring, back of the leg stretch. So bring your left foot, sole of the foot to the floor, and bring the strap, or you can use your hand if you have the ability to reach for your foot without lifting the shoulders. But the strap is nice, it gives you a little bit of extra arm length. So flex your foot and draw that leg back towards your chest. So you're really feeling a big stretch on the back of your calf, back of the knee, back of your thigh. You might try then extending your left leg. So pressing tailbone back towards the floor. So feeling that kind of that neutral curve of your lumbar spine. And then take the strap or your foot into your right hand, and you might bring your left arm out to the side, opening your foot out to the side. You could prop your elbow on the floor if you're holding the strap, or use your core strength to help keep the leg lifted. Feeling your sacrum on the floor, heavy. Then bring that foot back up to center and take the strap into the left hand. Bring your right arm out to the side, keeping your sacrum completely flat on the floor, so don't lift that yet. bring your foot over as far as you can without lifting sacrum. So you'll start to feel an interesting stretch up the lateral part of your thigh and calf. And then there's a point where your foot can't come over any further into the twist without sacrum lifting, so let it lift. And you could bring your foot all the way over, perhaps towards the floor, into the twist. So you're lengthening the right side of your body down. You could even take this thumb back into that hip and just feel how that hip draws down. If, in order to get your foot to the floor, your shoulders come up, maybe you lift your foot up a little bit. And then bringing that leg back up. Bend your left knee, take the strap off, bend your right knee, bring the sole of your foot to the floor, strap underneath your left foot, the ball of the foot. Starting here, maybe you're using your hand on your foot, but in any case, pressing your tailbone back, towards the floor. So feeling how your belly kind of scoops. You can feel that little curve of your lumbar spine lifting from the floor. Extend your right leg maybe. Keep the knee bent too. Your choice. And you're breathing into the back of your leg. If your leg comes back towards your head, towards your face, towards your body, it's without rolling up your lower back. So you're not compromising your spine in order to get into the stretch of the back of the leg. And then letting your left foot come out to the side. You might take the strap into the left hand, or your foot into the left hand. Maybe the right arm comes out to the side. Your pelvis stays on the floor. So it requires a little bit of strength in the right side of your body. You can feel your right leg is also engaged. Your breath is steady. And then bring that foot back up, maybe the strap into the right hand, left arm out to the side. And again, keeping sacrum on the floor, keeping the left hip drawing down. Let your foot come over. Now it might be different on this side. Maybe your left leg doesn't come as far over as your right leg did before you need to lift your hips. I'm just projecting my experience here. My hips are different in their range of motion, and they always have been. So there's probably something structural in there that's not necessarily going to change. So I honor that. So bringing that foot all the way over, maybe it comes all the way to the floor. Maybe you keep it lifted. For me, it feels better to keep it a little bit lifted and keep my shoulders on the floor. Maybe lengthening that left hip down. You can feel how the left side of your body kind of wants to contract. And then bringing that foot back up to center. And maybe bending your right knee, taking the strap off, and setting it to the side. Just draw your knees in again. And rock a little bit side to side. And then roll to your left side and come up. And let's just come to hands and knees. And we'll lift the right arm up. And we'll thread the arm through, reaching forward with your left arm. So we're coming to the back of the right shoulder. And you might stay there. You could keep your left arm reaching forward, or you could also walk your feet back and come to lay on your arm, if that feels okay for your body. Maybe the left arm comes down by your side. And if you have any trouble with your neck here, if it feels strained, just put a cushion under your head or a block or something to keep your neck from crunching. We don't want to break the line of the neck. We want to keep the neck long and neutral. And breathing, feeling into the back of your shoulder. And then sweeping that arm back, come back up maybe to hands and knees. And this time we'll reach up with the left arm and threading the needle again. Maybe reaching forward with your right arm. And maybe you walk your feet back and come to lay on the left arm. I kind of like this position with my right arm reaching forward, so I'm going to stay here up on my knees. Taking a few breaths. I'm just checking my camera angle here. Making sure you can see me. Okay. And then coming back, two hands and knees again. You might just circle your hips in one direction and the other. And then here on your hands and knees, step your left knee back behind your right knee to come into steer pose. So your knees are stacked. If that's just way too much for your body and you want to straighten your left leg because your left knee feels compromised, that's a good modification. Or you can keep both knees bent, stacking your knees. And here just feel for the sit bones. So you might feel like your right sit bone kind of wants to lift up because you're getting that big stretch in the right outer hip muscles. So let it be heavy, let your sit bones be heavy. Look at this long spine, nice steady, free and deep breathing. If you're coming forward, it's with that same neutral spine. Breathing. And just take like 2 more breaths here. And then we'll come forward to come out. So you'll come back to hands and knees, and then step back to hands and knees, and this time bring the left knee on top of the right knee. And come back to a seated position for steer pose on the other side. And again, feeling for the heaviness of your sit bones. Big stretch of the outer hips and taking some breaths here. Then coming forward again and stepping your knees apart. Let's come into frog pose. So letting your knees come apart, maybe the feet come together. Keeping the spine long and breathing. Maybe your hips kind of find their spot. So it might be, you might kind of move back and forth until you feel the right place to hang out for a couple breaths. Nice steady breath, nice long spine, feeling that deep stretch in the inner thighs. And you might come up onto your hands if that feels safe for your body, bringing the hips forward just a little bit further and then lifting your heart. So coming into kind of like a cobra with your knees apart, if that feels safe for your back and everything, breathing. And then bringing the hips back again, slowly, knees together. So I'm going to do one quad stretch. So a couple of possibilities. Probably the easiest would be to come onto your side and bring your hand back to your foot and draw your heel in towards your hip. So that's one way to go that's doable for most people. You could also come onto your belly, like in a Sphinx pose. Bring your left arm across the front of your body and reach back with your right hand. So we're not twisting the knee is just kind of hinging, and we're drawing the heel in towards the buttock. And so that might be spinning the fingers. It's a pretty deep stretch. So you can stay on your back, on your side if you need to. And just kind of pressing into the floor and lifting up as you do this. Heel moves towards the buttocks. So you're getting a big stretch in your shoulder as well. Breathing. And then release that side. You might come to lie on the other side. And stretch the quads in that way. Or you could also bring your right arm across the front of your body. Reach back with your left hand, spinning your hand if you can. And again, you're lifting up out of your right shoulder. So bringing your heel in towards your buttock. Breathing. And releasing that side. And then just let your feet go side to side. You can make little circles. Just letting that go. And then we'll flip back onto our back again. And bring your feet again for the same, we already did this, but it's a nice stretch to kind of bring our practice to a conclusion. So bring your feet again, maybe the width of the mat or so, a little wider than your hips, and your arms out to the sides. And let your knees go side to side, and you might just do that a few times to each side. Just let it be easy. And then when your knees come to the right, you could let them stay there. You could bring your right ankle on top of your left knee if that feels safe for your knees. Letting your breath be nice and full and steady. And then releasing the right foot from the left knee and letting the knees go towards the opposite side, towards the left. Maybe picking up your left ankle and putting it on top of your right knee. Nice deep breath here. And releasing your left foot from the knee, coming back up to center. Draw your right knee in towards your chest, extend your left leg, and just pause here, pressing tailbone back towards the floor. So feeling that deep fold at the front of the hip as you draw your knee towards your chest. And then taking a twist, so you can bring your right arm out to the side, the left knee comes over, and you might look back over your right shoulder. And then rolling back onto your back and extending your right leg, drawing your left knee in towards the chest. You might just kind of move the knee around a little, keeping it into that deep fold. And then taking the twist to the other side, bringing the left knee over towards the right. You're looking back over your left shoulder. Nice easy twist, breathing. And then coming back onto your back, drawing both knees in. And maybe for your final pose, maybe taking a happy baby pose. And I like to rock a little in my happy baby from side to side. And you might too. Feels kind of good on the low back. And just another breath or two here. Just like a little baby. And draw your knees into your chest. And maybe bringing the knees out to the sides. And the soles of your feet together, coming into a reclined bound angle pose, reclined cobbler's pose. You might bring the hands to the elbows, bringing them up over your head, and starting your corpse pose in this position. So it's nice to feel the breath in this way, filling up the lungs. It's like you have a little more space in this position for the breath. And bringing the arms down by the sides, palms facing open, and your legs extending, finding your way into corpse pose on your back. So allowing yourself to be very heavy on the floor. Letting your body completely surrender to gravity. Closing your eyes. Letting your jaw relax. Letting the eyes settle back into your skull. Your forehead is soft. And your breath is just coming back to its own natural rhythm. So no strain in your breath. Let it be very natural and comfortable. Might be very soft. Just letting the effects of this hour and 15 minutes of yoga practice kind of integrate into your body, mind, and spirit. Really surrendering the weight of your body over to gravity. Just like the earth is holding you. And then you could slowly begin to roll onto your side and come back to your seated position. So making your way back to where we started. And that might be sitting up on a cushion or on a chair, finding your long spine. So feeling how heavy your lower body is and how the spine rises up. The chest stays open and the breath is free and deep. So letting the breath be very steady. Letting your inhale and exhale be about the same length of time. So it might be to the count of like 6 to 8 heartbeats. Keeping the shoulders relaxed. Just feeling there's a little natural pause at the end of the exhale. Right before you take the next inhale, there's that brief natural pause before the air comes rushing back in. So you're not grasping at the breath at all. It's relaxed, but it's powerful. And just taking 2 or 3 more breaths like this. Nice, deep, steady, even breaths. Feeling that pause. And then from there, you could bring your hands together at your heart. And if you did set an intention or dedication for your practice, you could pause to recall that. bowing your head to your practice, to your own inner teacher, your higher self, or your higher power. Namaste, and thank you for joining in with this live video or watching it later. We really appreciate all of your donations and your class payments. It's keeping the Hatha Yoga Center going during this stay-at-home time. So many thanks, and I'll see you again. Actually, I'll see you again at 9 o'clock for meditation. Namaste.